Welcome to the 2019 Pokemon Trading Card Game Regional here in Hartford, Connecticut. I am John Calchexis Kettler, and to my left is Jeffrey Saran Rap Saran, and brought to you by FullGripGames.com. With that LGN 10 promo, you can get 10% off any single order this weekend. We are bringing you the win-in round for this tournament.
Winning it, we feel. Now, there has been a lot of interesting scenarios that have played out here at the top tables. I'm going to do a brief little rundown while we have a second while they set up here. We do believe Table 1 can ID an M. That's Jonathan Croxton with the Shock Lock at 33 and Jose Morel with Rayquaza at 31.
They're clinched.
I think they're clinched with the tie. Now, this is where it gets weird. Tables 2 and 3 have one player that at 32, but also another player at 29 who has to play it out and get to that 30 point to win. That's Isaiah Williams. And the same scenario happens again at Table 3 where Sam Ertman, the previous round, was able to ID with Jose. However, he is now playing against Justin Bakari at 29 points there. So Justin needs to get that win there. I do not think 30 points is safe.
I absolutely agree, because here's the thing is that normally we're in a situation where the top 2 or 3 tables, you know, they feel okay, and then the next 2 or 3 tables, they have to play it out. But because of what you just said, it's a little more complicated than that. These two players who are 29 points at tables 2 and 3, they think, okay, what can we do? Oh, and you know what? It looks like we have that action about to start with the handshake. Actually, you know what? Disregard that. Looks like they're holding off a little bit. So back to the analysis here in this really awkward scenario with the points. You need a minimum 31 to guarantee your clinch top 8 position. If you have 30, you're on the bubble. And let's
I
just
think 31 could be the bubble to potentially. Look at the tables past table 5.
You know what? You're right. I mean,
we have a lot of 28s
we have
here.
people 28. We have people 27. And that actually
there are 7 people at 28 points right now.
That goes all the way down to table 8, which is a down pair to a 26 from a 27. So, yeah, you know what? I agree with you. I don't think it would be safe at all to ID at table 2. And I don't think I've seen that in a tournament in ages at this point.
This is going to be a weird scenario where actually if someone has a favorable matchup, let's use Koulis and Ertman for an example, where they're up paired by points. They could have a scenario where they can actually scoop their opponent to help leverage their matchups in top 8. You know, for example, like if Sam's playing Trevenant here and he's going against a Hitmonchan, you know what? Take the win. We'll see each other in top 8. Don't worry about it there. So there's a lot of interesting thoughts that has to go through between looking at tables 5 through 8 as well as comparing your matchup. It's so much going on right now, and I feel like each player outside of table 1
so much of a
has to play.
Going on. Yeah, and it looks like we are about to see that action start up in a bit. Got the thumbs up that our players are about to go, and we have an exciting match from 2 players who have already appeared in this win-in setting. We have Hannah Howard with Trevenant, and we have Jason A. with Zoroark Tex. Both of these players have been on stream before, put up some really good showings, and here they are playing to see if they can guarantee their spot in the top 8, which, as you said earlier, isn't even that much of a guarantee, but they got to play for it.
It's a very strong chance. We could say that there, depending on how the other tables play out. But here, but only an attach and pass on Hannah's side here. Attach to the Phantup, and going into Jason's turn, starts Oricorio, which interesting start here for him. It might not be the worst for him, but Ultra Balling away, Enhanced Hammer, and hey, throw it back there, that Fire Red, Leaf Green, Verse Seeker.
That's right, and we were just talking about being able to order those singles on FullGripGames.com, so if they go back far enough to Fire Red, Leaf Green, you might be able to get one of those for a pretty good deal. And speaking of something other than single cards, we have 4 copies of Dimension Valley in Hannah's deck, so we could have an interesting scenario play out here with the Oricorio starting in the active position, where if Hannah is forced to play a Dimension Valley early, then Jason might actually be able to do some ping damage with Revelation Dance for free.
That's a very good point there. Revelation Dance and Supernatural Dance both only costing 1 colorless energy. Doesn't really need any specific energy requirement to do that attack there. Jason on his side. Tapu Lele, 1 attack for the Bridget, 4-3 Zorua here. And it looks like he might be eyeing down attaching the double colorless. Hard retreats to Oricorio and passes.
And that's a really painful retreat, because if you guys watched Hannah's match yesterday, way early on in the day, we saw that she had 4 Enhanced Hammer in her deck list, and so that's putting a lot of pressure on every single attachment that Jason uses. He runs nothing but special energy, so effectively he's down 1/6 of his entire energy right now, and he's all reliant on whatever's not prized.
We do see here double evolve to the Trevenant here with that Forest Curse ability. As long as Pokemon is in the active spot, your opponent cannot play any item cards. So already with the energy on there, if she could find an additional energy, she could actually Tree Slam here. Won't knock out because of resistance, however, spreading that damage around, setting up for the inevitable Silent Fear from the Trev break.
Right, and again, we were talking about this yesterday. Same thing today, where because Wally is no longer part of the expanded format, Hannah's setup is a lot slower, but you know what? It's just like you said, she's still stabilizing everything, still setting everything up, and is putting herself in as good of a position as she can be.
Fortunate for her, she was able to get out multiple Trevs this matchup versus the prior one yesterday, where she struggled to get multiples out there. However, onto Jason's side here, he did pull off a Zoroark GX and get the double, and with the double colors to the active spot there, benching down the Oranguru there, and it wasn't able to play the Verse Seeker, has to play Sycamore because of the item lock.
That's right. So those are some valuable resources Jason is going to be locked out of, at least for the time being. He has ways to get those back with Oranguru and resource management, but for now, he's out of Guzma, and looking down the list one more time, he only runs that single copy, so it's going to be tough to get out of item lock. He's going to have to power through it.
And here we go, easy enough off that end. Even with the item lock here, because of trade, he's able to discard a card from his hand and draw multiple cards here. And that's actually not even the worst effect on Jason's side here. Being able to discard those items, or in this case, Propagation Egg, that you do not want in your hand or in your deck at all, can still speed up his setup here, taking a KO on the Dark Week Trevenant.
And speaking of setups here, Hannah's going to want to go ahead and keep up this chain of Trevenants for the next 2 or 3 turns at least, because her ultimate goal, her end game, if you will, at this point, is to be able to just get some spread going on, get a couple of those Silent Fears, get that energy off the board, and then maybe eventually close out with that Espeon EX and its Miraculous Shine. So that's a way you can counteract the whole I'm weak to everything in your deck issue that Hannah and her Trevenants have.
This is a big turn here for Hannah. While she doesn't have a draw supporter or energy right now, she can get it here with the Mysterious Treasure to get a Tapu Lele, but we do see here Rescue Scarf, Trev Break coming down. Huge turn here, though. Counter Catcher, because she's behind on prizes, can pull up a Pokemon off of Jason's bench and bring it to the active spot, opting for the 2 retreat cost heavy or
she's eyeing that Marsh Shadow to let loose.
Oh, I like this too. But also there's already 3 traits out there. I feel like it might be more beneficial for her to progress her energy allotment.
Yeah, and I think, well, her energy allotment, by that do you mean her own energy attachment?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no problem. And I think that's where Let Loose can be a huge player right now, because it's going to be a little tough to hit exactly what she needs off of 4 cards, but it's not unreasonable. It's not that unlikely. And so
but I feel like the Let Loose here doesn't negate Jason a lot because of the trades.
We got a Psychic.
She did get a Psychic, though.
She got a Psychic,
but does she have a D-Valley?
She doesn't. I don't see a D-Valley. I don't see a Dimension Valley at all, but we have, looks like another Counter Catcher in her hand, so she can keep on with this defensive counter-catchering play. And I love the fact that we're finally being able to see this work in the tournament. I think I've been on at least 2 matches where I've seen players make defensive plays like that. Defensive counter-catchers, defensive Guzmas, defensive Lysanders, and yet we didn't get any substance or luck out of those plays. We didn't get those to stick, even though those were the best plays. Here, Hannah was successfully able to get that Oranguru up in the active position, unable to do anything but resource management. That might hurt her a little bit, because it forces Jason to get back some valuable resources like his energy and his Guzma, but at the same time, it's certainly a good stall tactic that lets Hannah take control of the game.
Absolutely there. We do see here, Jason does play Gladion right there. Be able to play Gladion, look at your prizes, take a card, and then replace it with Gladion himself here. He is ahead on prizes. He was eyeing down the counter energy here. Won't get any effect out of that. However, counter energy does still count as 1 colorless energy when the effect is not in line. So you'll be able to use that resource management to bring back those double colorless energy that were previously enhanced hammered.
Yeah, and you know, with all the energy denial that Hannah got, I can't help but wonder if it might have been a little bit better to bring up, say, the Oricorio again. I mean that's actually a little risky in some ways, because it's got too low HP. You want it to stick so you can spread. There's also an advantage of bringing up the Tapu Lele, because it can't do more than just 60 damage. But that's all a moot point right now, because Hannah's sitting on that second counter catcher, brings up the absolute best possible Pokemon you could with counter catcher, that Slugma. all it's going to be doing right now is just sitting there. I mean, I'd love to say it's twiddling its thumbs, but it can't because it's a slug. But it's just twiddling whatever its antenna.
Sure. Just don't throw any salt on it right now. It looks like Jason's getting a chance to get a fresh hand here, even under item lock right now here. Hannah right now did play N, going to shuffle her hand to her deck, draw 6 cards, and hopefully she can find energy and dimension value to begin spreading with that Silent Fear.
Yeah,
then has the D-Valley computer search, so she can get there.
All outs, and 2 D-Valleys, so even if the next one gets bumped, she has...
Actually, she can counter energy.
She has counter energy. She doesn't even need to play anything, and I think that might be the best play right now. She's like, you know what, I'll go ahead and bump that Skyfield, deprive some options from you, and just go ahead and keep it going that way. So it looks like we're going to see just looking over the board, looking over resources, good, careful, deliberate play. I respect that. Getting that energy down. We got colored energy because she's down on prizes. And now we're just getting a little bit. And it looks like we've got that Silent Fear.
Yep, right into effect. Their Silent Fear counter energy coming to effect because of Hannah being behind on prizes. She can count double energy in any kind of fashion you want. Fire, Psychic, doesn't matter here. Doing Silent Fear. On to Jason's turn here. Grabs, execute here to propagate. Discard and draw 2 cards here. Gets the Shaman and the teammates. Yeah. Big thing to note here is that if Hannah takes any KOs with Silent Fear, these are damage counters and not damage. So teammates will not come into effect if there is a knockout in the form of Silent Fear.
Let's see, and we got Smooth Over coming into effect. We've seen this before from Jason today. That great, well, I guess technically we haven't because it never got into play last time around, but we have talked about it, and we've talked about how great Smooth Over is as a combo with Trade and Zoroark. Great to draw into considering that Jason's under item lock, so he can get that Guzma at any point that he wants, so he can get out of this item lock thanks to that Marshadow being on the bench.
Absolutely. Here we do see Battle Compressor and teammates being traded off now. Seeing a Floatstone in another Guzma.
Yep, right on cue. He's got that.
Is that Faba? He's on Faba to get away to counter energy potentially. And Silent Lab to bump the stadium.
There's actually something pretty appealing about being able to get that counter energy off of the board here. And that's just what he's going for, getting rid of that, sending it to the Lost Zone, although not that big of a deal for now. Everyone at home we know. But there we go. Caught it right away. Good job, Table Judge. And right now, Jason is trying to get back into this game a bit after Hannah pulled some initial control over everything. But Hannah's still looking for a game plan, some spreads, some de-evolution, boom.
And she does chance with the D-Valley bump here. Benches Wild Buffett here. Does still have computer search to go search out another energy, but decides to hold the computer search and just play N instead, preserving that computer search for the later game. We do want to run it here quick, real fast on some updates to top tables. Jose does defeat Jonathan Croxton to go to 34 points, Jonathan 33, as well as Isaiah beating Justin Koulis. So that's going to be now 4 players at 34, 33, 32, and 32 respectively.
That's right, and it's tough to say based off of how fast it went. It's been only about 10 minutes. I think that Justin might have just conceded that.
I think both sides.
You alluded to that to an extent.
I think Shocklock liked the matchup for Rayquaza and may have done that there. Back to the action here. Hannah does find a mystery energy to attach to the active Trevenant and will proceed to do the Silent Fear again, as well as finding another Trevenant break to start to get ready for the following Silent Fear.
Yeah, and if I'm Hannah, I'm feeling really great about this position right now. A bunch of evolution Pokemon within firing range of a Miraculous Shine. All of them except that Magcargo, and one more Silent Fear would result in a knockout on it. I think there's some benefit in holding off on any more Silent Fears for the time being. Just go ahead and use a Miraculous Shine in an awkward mid-game spot, and then swoop in and knock out the remainder.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, she does play Espeon EX as well, and you could do that for free because of D-Valley too. So that could be in a place where if she does one more spread, she could take 4 prizes in one turn.
And you know what makes that play of hers even better is that she could theoretically do that without having to change anything about her board because she has Mystery Energy on the Trev break active, so she could retreat for 2 less, bring up the Espeon, de-evolve for free.
Now, Jason does find an Ace of Roll here, so he will be able to prevent at least one of those KOs here, and it looks like it's going to be the Magcargo there.
Yeah, and so it applies a little bit of pressure here, telling Hannah to hurry up and knock out those 2 Zoroark in some way. I mean, we still have what we were talking about, a factor in this game, where is since that Dimension Valley is not bumped, as long as Hannah has the retreat resources and as long as she has the Espeon EX not in her prizes, she could Miraculous Shine and take control of the game.
Absolutely, and I think we could be seeing that here. I do see the Guzma in hand as well. Does she have an Ultra Ball or any kind of piece there to do that? Mystery Energy to even get the free retreat if needed. She is shuffling to her hand pretty quick. I do see the Ultra. Oh, it's Enhanced Saber, not Ultra Ball.
So that kind of clues us into this not being quite as exciting and explosive of a play as we would like to see. But we are losing that double, and maybe she's just kind of hedging her bets a bit here in case she needs to draw into some cards. And
Ace Trainer,
another come from behind card. We see a lot of these in Hannah's list. We saw those 2 counter catcher do great for her. And Ace Trainer, you can only play it when you're behind in prizes. You get to shuffle up your hand and draw 6. Your opponent gets to shuffle their hand up and draw 3.
Now, the thing is here, if she does find the Espeon EX, do you run that play now or Silent Fear some additional damage? The Macargo is back in deck right now.
Well, let's take a look here. If there was a Miraculous Shine that occurred right now,
she might be doing it.
She's got the Mystery Energy. Yeah, but if you do, then you take out all the Zoroarks and play. Oh, and she just slams that Espeon EX down.
Espeon EX down.
She has everything that she needs. Doesn't need to change a thing about her board to be able to retreat, get that Espeon EX in the active position, knock out those Pokemon, and yep, she's just double-checking. Order of operations, she could discard either of those energy to retreat for 1, and Miraculous Shine for free. 1 colorless attack, -1 thanks to Dimension Valley, knocks out 3 Zorua with those Dimension Valley, with that de-evolution. I'm getting so tied up in my Devos, Dimension.
Yeah, Espeon saying, you raise me up, takes up all those Zoroarks back to the hand, taking out 3 Zoruas all in 1 turn, coming back from 4 to 6 prizes, and then an end on Jason's side. Now, here is the trade-off here. Jason does get items back, so he can play a Rescue Stretcher to bring back the Zoruas and a couple of different ways to recover here. However, it is just as easy as attaching energy back to Espeon, bringing it back to the bench, and proceeding to repeat the strategy.
And he has half the work he would need to do to get resources back here because
Counter catcher,
he has all the Zoroarks. He has all the Zoroark GXs left in his deck, although actually it's a little awkward here because those Zoroark GXs, they're just sitting in his they're sitting in his deck, and there are no Zoruas, so they're actually in a way making the deck not as thin as it needs to be to draw into those all-important cards. So with that Dowsing Machine, I would be hoping, if I were Jason, and we got a communication to be able to maybe get out another piece of the puzzle, shuffling in that Zoroark. I think he had, if I'm correct, he had, let's see. Oh, and he's got Shaman to keep himself alive for the next turn.
Shaman going to be coming down here to do set up to draw 6 right now that he has access back to items. A big thing here is that Jason did find an Enhanced Hammer and take away that energy off the Trevenant. So without Hannah having any type of float stone or any kind of retreat cards outside of Guzma, it's going to be hard for her to retreat this Espeon and proceed to do Silent Fear.
We've got an Ultra Ball sitting in that hand, but other than that, not a whole lot of options. That's rough for Jason.
Ultra Ball going down to the bin, discarding Execute and Choice Band. Going to search any Pokemon out of his deck right now. Probably going to find one of the Macargo here to possibly set up to get the Rescue Stretcher back into play.
Yeah, and with the Shaman already going down and drawing some cards, this is going to have to be a really good choice for a smooth over here. So. And he's got a second counter energy sitting in his hand. He has not played an energy this turn.
Smooth over. Seems to be eyeing down. The Rescue Stretcher is in deck now.
He's flirting with it. He's flirting with the idea of getting that Rescue Stretcher.
It's either that or a draw supporter for the following turn if he doesn't have one in hand.
And
but ultimately, grabs the Guzma.
Ultimately settles for the Guzma. And I think that's a safer play that's less vulnerable to an item lock coming out because he can resource management back his Zoruas if he wants. So it looks like we have a judge ruling on the board, so we will be cutting right back to the action in a bit, looking for some details from the floor on it, but wow, that has been an exciting game so far, and I'm really interested to see how it finishes out.
I'm very curious how it's going to pan out here. Clock's still going down right now as they're doing the ruling. Hannah, massive turnaround play right there, and it kind of balances out the Zoroark matchup. You know, traditionally it can be a little bit tough because that Dark Weakness, all Zoroark needs to do is find those DCs and keep training them, but Hannah's deck is built for Zoroark hate between the 4 Enhanced Hammers and the Espeon EX to Miraculous Shine those Pokemon back to hand.
Right. And Hannah's sitting pretty well on all of her resources. I mean, after those first couple of knockouts, it's relatively stabilized. Although I like what Jason is going for in his overall approach. He is trying to recover from that big hit and maybe avoid there being a second one like that later, because all those spreads that won't happen again in this game, I don't think,
No.
because in order for that to happen again, he would have to have the exact same thing as before, which is a whole field of Zorua, spread twice, and then game.
Yeah, I think he's going to change the Zorua a little bit different next game as far as evolving them, and also maybe prioritize getting to the Acerola instead of on that Macargo, which he needed to retreat, possibly to Zoroarks there to help lower that damage output as well. The big thing here is that...
And hold that thought one sec. Let's check to see, do they have their headphones on? We're going to go ahead and get a word from the field. Good. So headphones are on. We can still talk super deep in strategy. I feel like we did a good job in terms of keeping it general, but looking at just, general approaches both for this game and the next game, I would like to see a little bit more staggering of the playing of the Zoruas, where your normal game plan with Zoroark is just put out a bunch of Zoruas and keep it that way. One thing you can do to counteract the spread decks like Trevenant is you can play the minimum number that you need and then play the third one at a different point after your Pokemon have been damaged a bit.
Yeah, definitely there.
It's not going too ham.
Yeah, no, I fully agree there right now. Hannah's in a weird spot, though, however, not being able to retreat this Espeon as well as attack with Trevenant in the same turn unless she plays Guzma. Looking at her list right now, she can only force retreat with the energy or play Guzma. So unless she finds that combination here, she can get the lock the following turn, but no Silent Fear will probably happen here this next turn.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a little clunky, a little awkward, but it's anybody's game at this point.
Yeah, I still think it's in a great spot there. Jason still has a ways to come back here. Silent Fear, however, if she is able to get this next turn here, it's going to take a lot of work for Jason because of item lock on top of having to get those Zoroarks back out to initiate that draw and take these knockouts. Not enough as counter-attackers here in his list can really go after the 160 HP of a Trevenant break here. He needs to find those Zoroarks, and he needs to get these knockouts here. 4 knockouts left. He has all his DCs back in deck because of that resource management that happened there.
Exactly.
So he still can get those 4 knockouts, but he needs to find those and find those soon.
Yeah, and so lots of recovery going. Great spot to be in overall.
So what we'll do real quick here, while we figure out the judge ruling, we're going to take a quick second here, get some more information. We'll come back to you live with the action here shortly.
Stay tuned. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the round 14, the 14th round of the regional championship here in Hartford, Connecticut. And we have just resolved the issue, the dispute going on the field right now. Looks like there was an extra card drawn by Jason off of an N that has since been resolved with a double prize penalty against his favor. Although Hannah will not draw any physical cards, she will need 2 fewer prize cards to draw in order to win this match, and a random card has been returned from Jason's hand to his deck. That is how the penalties played out, and we're back to the action.
All right, back over to Jason's turn now. Looks like he's playing a Verse Seeker while he still has access to items there. I think he's playing a Verse Seeker or a Rescue Stretcher. I couldn't see. Maybe he's playing something different here. Doing a Zaru account possibly here. We do see the Verse Seeker on top of the deck. Or just a general inventory count.
Yeah, and so where we were at previously prior to the pause in the action was
a
resource management to be able to get some resources, no pun intended, back in the deck. So Hannah had a devastating Miraculous Shine play with that Espeon EX in the active position, devolving a whole bunch of Stage 1 Pokemon. Really exciting scenario here. At any rate, though, Jason's finding a way to get back into the action and maybe pull a comeback here.
Guzma here, and there we go. Back to the point we were saying before the game here. The only way to get this Espeon out to active spot and be able to pull off a Silent Fear is if she has a Guzma. And fortunate enough, Guzma plus Mystery Energy bring up the 1 retreat cost Shaman. Going to be able to spread damage all the way around.
And now Hannah is just 3 damage counters away from being able to win this first game in the win-and-in match for this regional championship. Looks like we just have that concession right away. To be honest, though, I don't think that would have changed regardless of the penalty based off of how powerful Hannah's setup was.
Exactly.
I think, though, it is significant. You can't ignore that fact. 2 prizes is always a big deal. And the fact that there were 2 prizes in that penalty resulted in maybe being able to flounder around for a bit longer versus, oh, I'm 30 damage away from my Oranguru going down and me losing this game. Okay, let's just scoop to save time. We don't have precise word on what the exact time extension is in this match, but generally speaking, if a penalty takes longer than about 2 minutes to decide, there will be a lengthy extension related to that, so we're probably going to see something to that effect. I can't say what.
I think there's going to be 2 parts here going into game 2 on both sides of the table here. Jason obviously needs a fast setup and take out knockouts before Trevnik can really start spreading that damage.
Which can totally happen due to the weakness.
Yeah, and on the flip side of it, Hannah needs to know, have a good sense of board state recognition, meaning that if Jason does accelerate his matchup quickly, Trevnik needs a long time to take the matchups here, to spread that damage, take multiple knockouts here. So I do believe that if she sees Jason accelerating and really getting a strategy going and taking for quick knockouts, she's probably pick up the cards and get to game 3. Because a tie here will not lead either of these players to top 8.
Although, let's give Hannah's setup some credit here because it could just as easily go in the opposite direction where she could get out a really fast item lock and take the game that way, where if Jason's starting hand is a little slow. Remember, guys, because Wally's no longer in the format, the only way you can get a turn 1 item lock with Trevenant is by going second. So even though I'm assuming that Jason is going to choose to go first in this match, it's going to be a scenario where Hannah might be able to take advantage of that liability, get out a fast item lock, and then take control of the game.
Absolutely. Our set number right now looks like Hannah is going to get a mulligan right now. But while we're still waiting for the action here, as long as Jason, Zoroark can move fast, gets multiple Zoroarks out, and be able to chain those different attacks here. The big thing, to your point, is Hannah does play the Enhanced Hammer. So Jason needs to get full power out of each of these TCGs. Every attachment needs to be a knockout. There can't be any retreats, can't be any fake placements as far as not taking knockouts, whatever it might be. Each thing has to have value out of it.
Although the counter energies are a little bit of a buffer here, where he can do a couple cuter plays like the resource management we saw a couple times at the beginning and the end of the first game. So it gives him a little bit of room to work with, but you know what, in essence, I see exactly what you're saying, and I think that's what he has to go for, is make the energy attachments count.
Make them count, and then hopefully, resource them back without losing much time. All right, we're here at turn 1. Jason does have an active Zorua, gets to bench another one, and kind of to the point where we're just saying here, maybe because he's going to Sycamore and lose it regardless is why he attached it. Sycamore coming down here after benching Oricorio and playing Skyfield, losing Faba and the Switch.
That's right. And it's looking like a significantly stronger opening hand, even without a Bridget, multiple Zoruas in play. He's flirting with the, yeah, and he benches the 4th one, so he's going to have a really explosive early start, in my opinion. Might be a little vulnerable to that Silent Fear spread later on with Miraculous Shine, but Jason's like, you know what, I'm down a game. I can feel like I'm just safe going ham, doing what I can.
Absolutely. Here we do see a couple more Zarus coming down. You gotta love when you're able to get all of your Zarus down without a bridge. It just naturally get into them between your draw.
It's insane. Like breaking down the odds, it's just so unlikely whether or not you have Ultra Balls, because that was about a peak at maybe 20 cards max out of that first turn.
Mysterious Treasure here going down, discarding the what looks to be an N. Going to search her deck for any psychic Pokemon. Could be Dragon. I don't think she plays any Dragon types in her list right now, but could be Psychic or Dragon. Going to opt out. Probably look for a Phantup here or a Lele if she does not have any draw support.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is because Mysterious Treasure is an item card, a search item card that is requires 1 fewer discards. It's just more efficient to include in your Psychic deck, even if you can't maximize it with being able to search out both types. As long as you're searching out Psychic, you're good.
We do see here a Mystery Energy going to the active Lele to help with that retreat cost here. Hannah needs to find a Dimension Valve here off this end of 6 for both players.
I feel like she also needs to find a second Phantom to keep the item lock going in the event that Jason off his end of 6 hits another double and hits a Zoroark. But it's going to be a lot harder for him since he's already lost a double colorless energy.
Fully agree that here both players cutting their decks right now going to be able to draw equal to the prizes. Both of them have 6 currently.
Shadow and Computer Search, okay. So we get a couple great things here if we are looking at things from Hannah's point of view. There is of course, there was a Mr. Energy is added insurance, that 2 extra free retreat, being able to get the Tapu Lele out of the active and out to the Dimension Valley. And even then to add insult to injury, there's Let Loose to give Jason a smaller hand and keep the momentum going on your side.
There's one big missing piece here, however, that she can only get either the D Valley or the additional Phantup at this point right now, because
so she has to hope to draw into it with that Let Loose.
Exactly.
Well, she's got some additional outs to it. I mean, in addition to Phantup itself, she has a few of those Mysterious Treasures, so seeing that Let Loose go down, the guaranteed turn 1 item lock, and the bane of both these standard and expanded formats. Marshadow, Let Loose, forcing Jason's semi-okay start into a pretty mediocre one, unless he just draws like a beast off these 4 cards.
Absolutely there. Let Loose, both players drawing 4 cards. The D Valley is there.
Lab.
Can we see another
Can't
Phantom?
use that. Can't use.
It's Ultra Ball. That's Enhanced Hammer, not Ultra Ball.
We got VS Seeker and a Silent Lab on Jason's side. What about on Hannah's? I mean, I
don't see much there going on.
She's holding 2 cards as if that's a Mysterious Treasure. It's a secret rare Mysterious Treasure. Getting that second Phantom, this is probably about the best start she could hope for, but that discard is really, really painful because that's one of her Dimension Valleys.
Yep.
But in my opinion, I feel like even with how hard that hurt, she has to go for it because this is her chance to take full control of the game. This could mean a second turn Silent Fear if all goes well.
Absolutely there. I mean, even with the knockout, she does have the return Enhanced Hammer as well.
Yep. And speaking of returns, we got the Return Stadium here. Hannah, she just had to do a whole lot to get that turn 1 Trevenant and get the Phantom as follow-up, losing those 2 Dimension Valley in the process, but she's still got a couple more.
Rescue Scarf there, but nothing else on Jason's side there. It was just a Silent Lab.
And we've got a pass from Hannah, too.
Oh, Colress off the top deck. Going to be able to draw
gosh.
9 cards here.
Yeah, so 9 cards. Let's see what Jason gets off of those 9. He's got pretty good odds, even if he doesn't instantly hit the Zoroark and the double colorless energy to secure a knockout. He could hit a Zoroark or 2 with no energy and then just hope to trade into it. We've got energy, couple energy choices, and and he's got the Zoroark off of the. Yep, he's got the Zoroark off the third to last card there.
And an Enhanced Hammer as well to get rid of the mystery off the Leyland bench. Zoroark coming down off Evolution. Going to be able to trade here even under item lock. Drops the counter catcher.
Man, what a punishing play and what a great top deck with that Colress.
Eyeing down a double colorless now. Going to be able to ride his beating for not just 120, 240 with the weakness. But Rescue Scarf is there. Going to be able to bring it back to hand and chain these Trevenants right now. But she does need some support in the form of draw. And it is a Professor Sycamore.
So the way that this played out, it's a little awkward because half of the Rescue Scarf's benefit is lost due to that discard, but at least she gets a Phantom, and so
she's 1 card away. She did not get the D Valley.
Didn't get the D Valley, but she's guaranteed to get this lock for this turn going. I mean, well, she was guaranteed from the outset, but a little bit closer to nearly guaranteeing a lock for the second turn.
I might have done this differently here. And instead of, she's probably going to go up here, and I guess she has counter catcher as well, but I would have attached the energy to the Phantom and done Ascension to the second Trev versus bringing up this Trev. This could be easily solved as, you know, Guzma around to take the KO here, or Easy or AZ or anything like that here to bring the Zork back up and KO.
I think that's a good train of thought. About the only thing that might have changed that a little bit is if Panna had 2 Trevenant prized, which is pretty unlikely.
Yep.
Although, you see, I say that, and then it suddenly turns out that she does.
Very true.
I've seen my fair share of bad prizes, so. Very
true. She has gone through her deck. She does know the inventory of it there, so we could be played a little bit differently there. Counter energy coming down onto Oricorio while Jason is not behind on prizes. It still counts as a colorless energy here.
Double checking precisely what Oricorio and counter energy do, how they interact with the whole board here. It's got a little bit of ping damage one way or the other. Probably not going to be doing a whole lot in a single turn, but being impactful in the long run, perhaps.
Going to be trading away the teammates here with the 1 Zork GX out there. Field Blower and Acerola coming off the top there. Not much else, though, Jason can do as he has already attached energy. He's going to probably look in the discard pile and either do Revelation Dance for the 30, and looks like to be the Revelation Dance for the 30.
Yep, getting a little bit of damage, getting a little bit of movement going on. Not nearly what he needed as far as just actually being able to do riotous speeding, but a good start.
Fortunately enough, there, Jason was not able to knock out that Trevenant. So with keeping the energy on the active as well as going to be able to attach a new one, Trevenant breaks Silent Fear should be coming down here in this next play.
Your opponent don't know it. We got, there are a couple good options here. Maybe she can, assuming that there are. I mean, there are a couple. There we go. There's a Trevenant. So, I mean, obviously being able to get that also gives her a little bit of deck thin, a little bit of options to like go through and get the resources that she needs. Even though it isn't that relevant in this moment, the Revelation damage isn't doing that much. I'd still like to bump the counter energy as fast as possible so that it's going to be a little bit harder for Jason to pull that riotous beating next turn.
Exactly. There's no way to retreat if that counter energy can go away there. We have seen 2 enhanced hammers come down on Hannah's side. With all 4 left, she hits one of those, drawing 6 cards there. We could see that come to fruition.
So off the 6, both players should be carefully looking to see. Yep. Very careful this time on Jason's part, making sure that's 5 cards off that end. And getting a Silent Fear off, getting that spread going. And with only 1 Zorak in play, I don't even know if Hannah's really going to worry that much about Espeon. So Jason would need to evolve multiple Zorak to even make that an issue.
Yeah, it's gonna save the time of the Espeon if he doesn't find any Pokemon here. Item lock in effect there, and I don't think he has anything else really to go off of. He's banking on this Shaman.
And
1 Zorak can save 1. We do have 2 trades left as well, so there is chances that he can draw into these other Zoraks.
The communication away. Oh, and he's got the energy too.
So energy for the KO. Benches Oranguru, and can we see the other 2 Zorak here off this trade, or supporter to help get there?
And a Guzma, that gives him some options.
Guzma helps a lot. Guzma opens up the items now. So we can see that there. And actually, he can take a big play here. If he can find another bench Pokemon, he can Guzma up the Lele, get items back, and then proceed to get the other Zoraks out to save the Silent Fear. But, you know, instead, just takes the KO.
Awesome.
He sees that there's no Dimension Valley in play, so Hannah needs a couple pieces before being able to do another Silent Fear.
That is right. But thanks to Rescue Scarf, we have things a little bit better for Hannah right now, and not too big of a problem, but she's going to have to keep up momentum and keep up this chain of the Trevenants for at least a turn or 2. I mean, she's got a lot of damage on those Zeros, is a single attachment away from guaranteeing a knockout. Oh, but here's the downside about playing Dimension Valley to counter that Skyfield. Jason can indirectly bump his damaged Pokemon, protect his resources in a manner of speaking, and not give up as much for a Silent Fear. But it's still a really, really big deal because once Hannah does the second Silent Fear, it's going to knock out a Zorua, and it's going to put 2 within range of a Devo.
Oh my gosh, this turn right here is insane. Hannah was able to find the D Valley as well as get the energy on a Trevenant break, and Ace Trainer full effect here as she's down 2 prizes to draw 6 cards, putting Jason to 3, and she's going to be able to take a prize here as well with Silent Fear.
That's for sure. I mean, with that Silent Fear option, being able to get that spread going, this is we've just seen a phenomenal setup here. Even when Hannah's setup was stuttered in the first few turns of this game, a single top deck just got her completely out of the rut, and now she's got 1 solid Trev, and it looks like there might be 2 more waiting in the wings.
Absolutely there. We do see she's about to retreat this Tapu Lele right now and bring up the Trevenant break here to spread Silent Fear. Silent Fear going to the figure now, 3 damage to each Pokemon across the entire board on Jason's side.
And now Jason's having a little bit more of a struggle, similar to what we've seen in the first game, but he's got a more solidified start this time around, and if he is able to somehow get an Acerola, it might not be that bad because he would only be giving up a single knockout from a Miraculous Shine. But just looking at what Jason's hand has, it's not very encouraging.
Gladion coming down here, going to be able to look through the prizes and switch up with 1 card as well, grabbing the double colors out of the prizes to be able to ride his beating, swapping it with the Gladion back into the deck.
And I want to give a brief update on some of the matches, something Jeff and I have been furiously looking at during the game too. It looks like we have a winner in our backup match, Jacob against Connor, so we have at least 1 Trevenant advancing to the top 8 of this tournament. And we might have a second if Hannah's able to pull out this game too.
Yeah, there still looks like that's. I think we see here 5 guaranteed players in the top 8, and 31 is going to be the bubble here for top 8. Right now, Wright is taking the knockout on that Trevenant, and Lele being promoted up here. So Silent Fear will not be happening here this next turn. However, Espeon EX is still able to happen with D Valley in play, and both Zoroarks able to be taken out in that manner. Can she find the means to get to that?
And I think the fact that we're seeing that energy go down is indicative that she's obviously going to try to build up a Trevenant for later, but she perhaps is, if it isn't prized, and that's the big if it isn't prized, then she can go ahead and just pull out that Espeon, de-evolve a couple Pokemon, and then put herself in the exact same position she was in the first game, which is an awkward item lockless scenario, but still a winning one.
Jace was able to hit the DCE off of the top deck there.
But I don't think I see an out to Espeon EX unless Hannah is
hiding
a card.
I think I saw an Ultra Ball in her hand.
I think that's an Enhanced Hammer.
Is it Enhanced Hammer?
Yeah.
I got those mixed up. But rest assured, so she can perform the item lock at least, and she does have Counter Catcher as well. So Counter Catcher onto a Ranguru, bringing it to the active spot. Won't be able to put any flow stone or anything like that because of the item lock, and we'll probably see a pass here on Hannah's side. Enhanced Hammer as well.
But is she going to play that Enhanced? She's still sitting on it. Yep, there goes the Enhanced. There goes the double. And even though it's not that big, explosive, Miraculous Shine we would have been excited about, but he's got the top deck on that Guzma.
Plus DCE off the Ace Trainer. He's going to be able to Guzma up.
Beast.
But here's the big thing here. The Guzma will not take out this Trevenant that's in the active spot.
That's right.
So Trevenant break can still come alive next turn if
that's absolutely right. So if Jason is going to
smooth over with Macargo.
Yeah, and that is a great hit off that trade too. Wow. Wow, those are a couple. Those were a couple clutch top decks right there for sure. Now, if he does decide to commit to that Guzma play, he only runs a single copy. He would have to make it really count, and there are a couple ways he could approach that. He could maybe attempt to, if he has all the means, get a knockout on that Lele and get lots of prizes. Another thing he could do is he could knock out that Phantom and avoid one more turn of Trevenant.
We do see trade here. Got the double colorless, as we've mentioned before, off the Ace Trainer. Acerola instead. I like this play. Gets to take out the Trevenant, slowing down Hannah's chances of getting to that Trevenant break. This is what I was mentioning before in the mid-game here. You got to have board state recognition right now, and Jason has been able to counter every play that Hannah's has. The only thing left is if she could pull out that Espeon play. If she cannot get to that soon, we got to get to game 3 so Hannah has enough time to seal the deal.
Yes, sir. And by being able to get that Ace Aurora right now, he was able to just do as you said, be able to answer that Trevenant, as opposed to just leave it on the bench, score a little cheap knockout, and then get hit by a Silent Fear the next turn. So got that return fire with the Rescue Scarf. Such a clutch card in this deck. It's been clutch for years at this point, and because of it, Hannah's able to keep things up. But she really needs that Espeon, and I feel like now that she's actually searching through her deck and digging through things, we might not even have that. Oh, that's our discard pile. My bad.
Here's the thing I'm thinking about too as well is that you know, one thing we kind of you know, forget about as well is that Hannah does play the enhanced hammers as well. So while she can slow down the steps that Jason needs to take these advancing knockouts here, so enhanced hammer here, even with the Trev active, could slow down Jason enough to where Hannah can hold out this game too, versus winning the game.
Oh, and we got that big signal.
There's
the Espeon, so we got a couple prizes potentially here.
That's exactly what she needs. Espeon's going to be able to do it. Do it right here.
Yep, Jason's setup is a little better than before, but I still think that this has to be the play. This has to be the move that she commits to right now, because otherwise those Zoroarks are going to take control. I mean, that's what Zoroark does as a control deck, is it takes control of the situation, knocks out stuff, draws tons and tons of cards. So by getting that Miraculous Shine out there right now, she's going to do exactly what she did in Game 1, only with a little less board control and a little more shakiness on her side.
Yeah, now this could probably, with 12 minutes left on the clock here, and I'm assuming that's with any time extensions from the judge ruling, that should just about seal it, or might not be enough time for Jason to come back on this. Yeah. Jason only has 2 prizes left.
And one thing I want to point out that is such a clutch move by Hannah previously is that Super Rod that she did to put Pokemon back into her deck. That actually protects her and shields her from Supernatural Dance being a much bigger deal, because it isn't going to deal nearly as much damage, although there is another looming threat here, which is the damage from Revelation Dance, which right now, just based off of the board state, is dealing 60 damage for free. And with I'm double checking one more time if I see a choice band here in Jason's listed all. Yep, couple choice band. Yep, we got a couple choice bands, so we could be seeing as much as 120 damage on that Espeon EX in response.
Definitely could be an option here, and also with Espeon EX back in the active spot here, Jason does have full access to items. While he can't trade with no Zoroarks on board, full access to items, does have Verse Seeker, does have Ultra Balls, and different ways to reprogress his board state back into a winning spot. Hannah's shaking her nerves a little right now. She knows the position she's in right now. She knows the importance of this game right now, and these next few turns will determine a lot. Teammates with the Verse Seeker.
Yep, and that's right. You can use teammates as long, and they're doing a quick double check, so it's Miraculous Shine. They're wanting to go ahead and be sure of the order process with it.
I don't think, is it teammates just knockout, or is it knockout by damage?
And that's the thing, is they're wanting to go ahead and make sure the procedure is correct here, because there was a knockout, so you have to look, and this is a situation where if there's a lot of ambiguity in the ruling, there is a little saying in multiple card games, folks. It is called read the cards. So they're going to go ahead and look at the fine wording here, make sure that teammates is something that can be used.
And absolutely, it can be used. It just says you can play this card only if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's turn. Does not state damage, just straight up if it was knocked out.
Doesn't say damage, doesn't say attack, if it was knocked out. And we have the action going on here with lots of options. I mean, between the Smooth Over and the teammates, it's a lot of choices. One single turn of items here, folks, and Jason has to make it count.
So we do see here, he did play Special Charge to bring 2 DCEs back into his deck, as well as playing the Red Stretcher. But instead of opting to bring the Zoruas back to deck, he is just grabbing the 1 to place on his bench. Smooth Over happening right now, grabbing a double colorless energy to bring it to the top here. Wanting to top deck that and probably play one of the supporters' hand the following turn to help get to the Jason Zoroark.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if we have any more cards that can be dumped out of Jason's hand. I would want, and that's the thing, is when you get that single turn of item lock gone, then you want to go ahead and just lose it all, lose virtually all of it anyways. There's some cards you might want to hold on to, but take advantage of that turn as much as you possibly can.
Absolutely.
So we got that Revelation Dance hit for some, I wouldn't call that ping damage, but a little bit more, a little bit less. But now that Espeon's a little squishier and could be knocked out as soon as next turn if Hannah doesn't take control.
Does she have a Guzma in hand too? Oh, so yeah, Mystery Energy, going to be able to free retreat, probably going to She can ace trainer again, take away every play that Jason just set up right now because she has 3 and Jason has 2 prizes on top of setting up Silent Fear. Huge turn right now for Hannah. Going to lock into items and
dude, it gets
damage.
that Oricorio off the board too.
Yep.
What a clutch play. And what makes this even more amazing is that she fell behind by 2 Dimension Valley so early in this game, and yet that one's been able to stick and make such a big difference.
Want to do a quick recap here. John Eng just won at table 7, putting him at 31 right now. So one 31-point person will be missing out on top cut. There's 5 guaranteed, and then now with the winner of this match would make 4 31-pointers. So one of the 31-pointers will be bubbling out here. Hannah taking a knockout with Silent Fear, and it's going to be Silent Fear has not been spread yet on Jason's side. Assuming that was Silent Fear and not Tree Slam. Damage was not spread, so I'm assuming it was Tree Slam and not Silent Fear. Oh, nope, there we go. Yep, reiterating that the Silent Fear damage needs to be spread across.
Yeah, that's only about 150 damage missed.
What is it? This doesn't make a big deal here because now we're shaming in the active spot.
Yeah.
Was Lele just put down?
Yeah, I think the Lele was just put down.
Okay, because he's grabbing his deck.
I will be honest, though. I missed that right away. But, yeah, I think it was just put down to get that Guzma.
Good on Guzma here.
And is he sitting on the game? I bet anybody who might be on the bubble is hoping
he's hoping
to a third game here.
He's hoping he can find a Zork here. He got it. He has DC in hand. If he has Zork in deck, he can't take the knockout here on Espeon.
Oh, man, and so it looks like that's squishy.
Oh, he needs more Pokemon. He needs more Pokemon. But Propagate will be the
Propagation will be it, and we got a tie right there. So a great play by Hannah, but just not enough. The setup wasn't quite as safe as it could have been last game.
Yep.
And as a result, it looks like these players are going on to Game 3 in this winning in. So we might be stuck in an unfortunate scenario where we see a draw. But
if they draw, it'll be a clean cut.
If they draw. But you know what? If there's going to be a spot where we don't see a draw in 6-ish minutes left, it would be this one because between potential dead draws on Hannah's side, between item lock, all sorts of possibilities could happen that result in just a good, clean winner in this match. But we had a couple grindy games, and as a result, got to fight against the clock, got to do whatever you can, but just not quite enough without a little bit of luck.
Yeah, there's definitely opportunities there for both players there between Jason being able to get aggressive and take quick knockouts versus Hannah, let loose item lock, take Jason out of the game, and maybe do Tree Slam versus Silent Fear to progress those knockouts as well.
Correct.
So definitely opportunities between both players here. It just really decides on what happens here. Jason quick the shuffle. Hannah's still doing her shuffle here. Yeah. He knows the time clock here. It's going to have to be a quick game 3. But that's the thing here. If they do tie here, we will have a clean cut between Jose Marrero, Croxton, Isaiah Williams, Klukas, Sam Ertman, Brian Hunter, Machaber, and John Ing, all guaranteed in if this matchup does tie. Otherwise, the 31-pointers will be on the bubble.
That's right, and I bet those other 8 players are hoping to all goodness that one of these other players doesn't pull off that big win. It's been a great series, lots of good plays by both of them, but unfortunately that's just how the game goes with the format it is sometimes, where these are time-constrained events, and that's just the way that it goes. So we've got a mulligan by Hannah. It looks like not quite going back to the action yet, so I'm curious to see if there might be anything else other than just one of those really quick wins, what players call donks in Pokemon and other card games. But at the same time, I mean, honestly, I think that's all that there could be.
It really is. I mean, we're probably going to start this game right around 4 minutes, 30 seconds left on the clock. Hannah's going to get a chance to go first here. She's still shuffling as it is right now, so maybe less than 4:30. Not a lot of time for either player to really do something here. It's going to have to come down to a donk scenario. Otherwise, unless they have some agreement off camera, there's not going to be a tie here.
Correct. And that's actually a weird liability about Hannah's deck right now, is that it only runs 10 basics total. So its odds of being able... Oh, and we've got another mulligan on the screen.
That's killing clock as well.
Yeah, and so with only 10 basics, I mean, the odds aren't that bad, but they aren't that good either in terms of hitting 3 mulligans consecutively. So, I mean, if any deck is going to hit it, usually it'll be Trevenant. I mean, well, there's some decks that you might see that a little more common for. But for Trevenant, it's definitely one of the higher ups right now.
You want to bring back to the old favorite from last year, Greninja. Maybe Mulligan a lot. They only have like 5 basics, but yeah.
Which is legal, by the way, in the expanded format.
Yeah.
But I don't really hear a whole bunch of people saying they love Greninja these days.
No, I think the Frogs have stayed in the pond for this season right now and just opted to stay out of the expanded format because of a lot of the relevance of the different decks here. Third Mulligan.
Yep. Got to wait for Zoroark and Greninja GX, buddy.
Yep. That's going to be a very exciting card. We'll see how that shapes the expanded format here. Next season, as there's no more expanded formats for the duration of the 2018-2019 season, nothing but standard left, but we do get to see Unbroken Bonds in the standard, and very excited to see how Unbroken Bonds shapes the new standard format.
Yeah, and we've seen at this point a fully matured expanded format with the same sets for the past month and a half or so, but lots of changes in the metagame, and I think Zoroark has been at the heart of it. So is Trevenant. Trevenant hasn't been too far off, even though it hasn't done quite as well. But
we do have a basic this time here.
Yeah, and we do have a basic, by the way. Right from the field, we got a Phantom starting, and the action is about to commence here with a precious 3-ish minutes left.
3-ish minutes left. This turn ended. This shuffle began around 5 minutes. We're starting here at 2:45 left. Mulligan's being really rough here on the draws here. Hannah, take a quick look at the Watch and Learn Sudowoodo, seeing the full power of what that card can do, but she realizes how much time is left. Trying to quickly decide what she wants to do here. Has Mysterious Treasure. Cannot play that again on the Phantom Bout or a Lele for some draw.
Yeah, and she has the Mysterious Treasure, has the draw, appreciates the urgency of the situation, but I don't know to what extent the players appreciate that urgency because it looks like neither have watches. I'm not sure to what maybe Hannah does, and I just can't see it past the sleeve. But at any rate, it looks like they may not know exactly how much is left. I mean, Jason obviously does based off of his shuffling that he showed, where he just took it straight to business. But Hannah's going to be digging, making her setup. And you are right. That's a great turn. Lots of options now. Lots of options for the next couple turns. And here, Hannah just has to hope for a draw pass.
Minute 44 left going into Jason's turn. Hannah had a great turn here, getting 2 Phantoms, Energy, and Rescue, as well as a D-Valley. Ultra Ball, good look at that, the tossing Acerola. And
that's a brutal toss if he has to make it. He's flirting with the idea, but yeah, discarding the VS Seeker to keep the option open and something else. The counter energy, not a bad call. Especially with how awkward that opening hand looked in terms of Ultra Ball discards. Lots of good stuff that you'd want to keep. So in that spot, it just becomes, okay, I need to Ultra Ball. So as opposed to discarding bad versus good cards, it's maybe I'll discard less good cards in this moment.
Absolutely here. Ultra Ball on the way. The Verse Seeker and counter energy, getting the Lele for the Bridget, and looking at this clock wind down right now, it's going to be very, very tough for this game to end fully here. I mean, there's a scenario where if you can take a knockout right now, Kukui, Floatstone, DCE, some scenario there. I don't know. Oh wait, it's not the Ram Zorua that Fouché played, so we're not going to see a turn 1 knockout here on Zorua. He would have had to take some form of knockout here. And I guess actually he could take a knockout with Lele if he has the Flowstone. Phantom has the energy on the active spot there. Energy Drive can't take the first KO. And then in the remaining 2 turns there, if he's able to knock out the Wildfoot and the present Phantom and no return Pokemon to hand aside. Dream scenarios. You got to think big here.
Dream scenarios. I love the big thinking here. And that's the thing. You got to play to your outs no matter what they look like.
And it's just a pass.
But yeah, that Sudowoodo's stuck, so Hannah, I think this exact time that we have on the screen right now, it might be 100% accurate. I'm not sure based off of the extension. It looks like that we don't see any dice coming on the board indicating we got a +3 or anything like that. So it does look, though, I'm assuming right now that this is currently time called with no extension. I would love to be proven wrong because I love seeing this checked on. But yeah, we've got the run-of-the-mill decisions here on Hannah's part, getting that spread set up going. Unfortunately, it's going to be just a single turn off before even getting that fully implemented. You need that Silent Fear, and it's not coming right now.
Interesting enough, she was toying with the idea of evolving the active spot, but realized that she can do Ascension here to evolve this Phantom, and she is going to play End to reset both players' hands to 6.
That's right. And so a couple Trevenants out on the board, which gives her a commanding position no matter how this game turns out with regard to time. In an untimed scenario or a longer setting, this would be even better. So we do have word from our good friend Kirk Dubstacks-Dubé that this is turn 0. Time is called. And so Hannah's just going through the motions and securing her setup, maybe even having a little bit of fun with the stream appearance, doing what she can before the inevitable happens, which is a draw. Unless what you said, which might have been some sort of agreement prior to the match. I don't know.
There may be something that happened along the lines there. Both players are at this point, probably going to could discuss afterwards.
Yeah, but I got to be I got to be real with you. I don't even see any type of board state agreement or prize agreement that would be fair or reasonable in this setting, because Trevenant doesn't really win off of being ahead on prizes the whole game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a come from behind deck. And with board state, you can't tell anything based off of this. I mean, there's so many ways Jason could weasel out of a lock from Trevenant, like we saw at the end of game 2.
Absolutely here. Trade, going to propagate the egg back, use it to trade here. Finds another Zoroark. Trades again his other Verse Seeker. And a lot of items in his hand. Won't be able to play those right now. Won't be able to really get the pseudo to act the spot either. Going into Hannah's turn. This is now turn 2. And Mysterious Treasure here, she's just going through motion. She's going to go ahead and get this Trevenant break here. Start Silent Fearing if she could find a D value as well, or an additional energy to do the Silent Fear.
And maybe that's one thing she is wanting to do, is show Jason, hey, look at my strong setup. Look at some of the things I could have done. And then maybe Jason at that point would spontaneously be like, yeah, you know what? I think you would have won this game, so I'll go ahead and concede to you. Although I'm not going to put words in his mouth, just a little bit of speculation. Some
players do find that value there and are in agreement that, if there is a chance that they see the board state would have been tough and be really hard to come back from here. Right now Jason does have Pseudo stuck active there.
Yeah,
it does have a heavy 2 retreat cost there, so it's going to come out the liability of discarding 2 energy. She's doing a let loose too to put, insult to injury. Her state, in my opinion, is quite dominant in the side of Jason, but Jason still has access to Zoroark and trade, can find Guzmas, take knockouts. Everything is still possible on Jason's end. We felt it was dominant in game 2 last game, and sure enough, because of that Oricorio's little bit of ding damage on the Espeon, was able to come back and take the last 2 prizes.
Yeah, and at this point, maybe to go ahead and I see that computer search in her hand, so she can show Jason that she has a Dimension Valley and is already applying tons of pressure. So this is the 3rd turn, and she's already a couple attacks after this away from being able to Miraculous Shine and take over the whole game.
Yep. There she goes. Silent Fear, turn 3 on Jason's side.
Turn 3. So now it is impossible, and it has been since the beginning of time being called, it is impossible for either of these players to win the match outright. And maybe they're just, and it is tough to say, it's nothing more than speculation on our end right now exactly what they're looking to show. We have that Acerola going down, and we get the handshake. And it looks like without anything else, we can just safely assume that is a solid draw, as we've seen played out in the match. And a couple really good games, a little bit of a heartbreaker at the end there of game 2 for Hannah, not being able to close that out. But Oricorio coming in so clutch for Jason with that little hit, softening it up, the Espeon EX, ultimately ending it with Riotous Beating, which is normally what you're attacking with.
Absolutely there. So with that in mind, if that isn't true, in fact, the result that it is a tie, we can say that top 8 will be Jose Marrero at 34, Isaiah Williams at 32, Sam Ertman at 34, Brian Hunter at 31, Jacob Machaber at 31, and Zhang Ang at 31. And then, actually, that is only 3 28ers. Where's the other person I'm missing here? Did I write someone's name? Oh, and Croxton. Croxton at 33.
Croxton and Koulos as well.
Oh, Koulos lost at 32 as well. So it's actually
he has 32
Croxton,
points.
Williams, Koulos, Ertman, and then the 331s of Brian Machaber and John Ang will be making this top 8.
Yeah, so it looks like it's pretty much solidified. Because it was a draw, we will not be having a player interview. I have word. Not exact word, but it looks like top 8 might be starting up very soon. So we are going to take a quick break. See y'all soon.